Tonight, disability advocates say they need and deserve more attention this election. A review of the Lake Diefenbaker Irrigation project shows the costs are greater than the benefits to the province. A video game aims to teach students about different levels of government.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, October the 8th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thank you for watching. We begin tonight with news of an apology from the Saskatchewan Party candidate for Saskatoon Westview. David Buckingham is apologizing for using a racially inappropriate term. Buckingham was first elected in 2016, and he says on one occasion he, quote, repeated a racially inappropriate word as I was recounting a story of another individual using that word, end quote. He did not specify what the word was. The allegation was first raised to CBC by Speaker and former Sask Party MLA Randy Weeks. In a statement to CBC, Buckingham said, quote, that was wrong and I should not have used that word. Regardless of the context, I immediately apologized to caucus staff, realizing it was a wrong thing to say, and I then apologized to my caucus colleagues at the first opportunity, end quote. The Saskatchewan Party says Buckingham underwent sensitivity training. Tax cuts, healthcare promises, balancing budgets, and boosting education. We've heard a lot of criticism and promises on the campaign trail, but as Pratush Dayal reports, we haven't heard yet from people living with disabilities in our province.
Sorry to be blunt, but it sucks ass.
A frank description from David Swan about being disabled in Saskatchewan. He lives in Allen, southeast of Saskatoon. Swan has a rare genetic condition that has left him deaf and blind. The government pays him $1,500 each month under the Saskatchewan Assured Income for Disability, or SED, but it barely covers his expenses.
Constantly behind bills.
Swan struggles, and he's not alone.
There's at least 5 or 6 days in a month where I'm not eating because I don't have enough money for food.
I'm constantly in debt.
Karen Swan also lives on SED due to her health, and she's David's mother.
My credit debt is at its limit, and that's how I survive.
In Regina, Joseph Reynolds says SED has led to food insecurity.
It's either a jug of milk or a box of cereal. And it's either, but not both together.
Reynolds panhandles and borrows money to make ends meet, shopping mostly at dollar stores. Nutrition is not even a consideration.
You can't really buy no protein products. What I can afford on my SED program.
More than 18,000 households receive SED right now, and everyone we spoke to said they want an increase. And while advocates agree, they worry disability isn't getting the attention it needs on the campaign trail.
I mean, I think that really what we need is a plan to not only get them up to the poverty line, but beyond the poverty line.
Tuesday, Sask Party leader Scott Moe made an announcement about an income exemption for SED recipients.
A re-elected Saskatchewan Party government will increase that employment income exemption by $1,000. This will allow an individual that is receiving SED to earn $7,500 annually without reducing those SED benefits, and a family to earn $9,500 annually.
And NDP leader Carla Beck addressed SED last week.
We have promised to do is to return the option for those on assistance in this province to receive direct funding for both rent and utilities, something that has caused a lot of hardship for people in this province.
But until anything changes, the struggle continues for those living at the mercy of the government.
Do you know how expensive it is to be poor?
Pratush Dayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Today, the Sask Party once again focused on affordability and, as we mentioned, disabilities. Leader Scott Moe was in North Battleford, where he promised a 25% increase in the tax credit for youth and adults with disabilities. There will also be an identical increase to the caregiver credit. Moe says it adds up to as much as $286 of savings per year.
This will go a long ways for this government and this province to be the very best place in Canada for people living with a disability and for their families.
The NDP today again focusing on healthcare and short staffing at the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency, promising if they form government to make recruitment a top priority. Party leader Carla Beck released a document sharing concerns from the Saskatchewan General Employment Union, or SGEU. It contains stories from healthcare workers, including a claim that patients have died before they could see a physician because the doctor could no longer take on more patients.
Now, this election, you have a choice. You can vote for more of the same, more delayed tests, more long wait lists, more overworked nurses and doctors and healthcare workers, and more unseen patients dying before they get the care that they need. Or you can vote for change.
Beck says the Sask party has refused to listen to frontline workers, and she promises her government would meet with healthcare unions to hear solutions. Elsewhere on the NDP campaign trail, a repeated pledge to freeze the small business tax. Candidate Alina Young says entrepreneurs are suffering under the current government. Speaking in Saskatoon, Young pointed to Stats Canada data showing the province saw a net loss of more than 100 businesses in a one-year period starting last June.
What small businesses are looking for is for the government not to pile on. And we've seen this government increase power bills 3 times in a single year, add PST to everything from essentials like gas and groceries, which impacts businesses' bottom lines, impacts consumer confidence, and they're now planning to double the small business tax increase, which is just not what the economy needs right now.
Young says an NDP government would convene a roundtable of employers and workers to tackle business issues. As for voting day, that's on October 28th, but we hope you'll join us first for the Leaders' Debate on October 16th. That is next Wednesday night. Carla Beck will face off against Scott Moe, and you can watch it live here on CBC television at 6:05 p.m. Economists consulted by CBC News say a new report about the province's proposed irrigation megaproject shows the costs are greater than the financial reward. Specifically, the report analyzed the $1.15 billion Lake Diefenbaker irrigation project. Jeff Leo has the story.
The provincial government says there are kilometers of irrigation ditches just like this in the Lake Diefenbaker area. It's planning a $1.15 billion project to refurbish them and irrigate 90,000 acres of farmland in the area. It says a new cost-benefit analysis report is encouraging.
I think what it means is, from our perspective, that we believe the project can move forward in a way that it could be economical for the province and the producers who are going to participate. So we're going to continue down that path.
But economists are not so sure. They point out that while the cost of the project is $1.15 billion, the return to government through taxation over the 50-year life of the project is just $410 million.
It costs today, in real terms, more money than the future lifetime value of benefits that come from the project.
UBC economist Ross Hickey says this is a form of corporate welfare. The project only makes sense if taxpayers prop it up.
If we were evaluating this as sort of private investors, somebody was pitching this project to us.
Like Dragon's Den, you'd say, no, Dragon's Den, it wouldn't get on the air. You know, they filter out projects. You know what I mean? In some sense, before they air them, I think, on the CBC. And so I don't know this one even would get the air. I don't think it would make it to broadcast.
But the provincial government says it reads the report more optimistically. It's planning to begin construction next year, and maybe an expanded irrigation project is in the future.
This is just the beginning, Jeff, of where the greater project could go.
But another economist we spoke with has a note of caution. He says right now the project costs more than the government is expecting to take in by way of taxes over the life of the project. And he says governments almost always underestimate how much these sorts of things cost. So he says that makes the financial risk here even greater. Jeff Leo, CBC News, Regina.
One of 4 people charged with murdering Megan Gallagher has pleaded guilty to killing her. Gallagher was last seen leaving a friend's house in Saskatoon in September of 2020, and the 30-year-old's body was found in the South Saskatchewan River 2 years later. Megan Gallagher's family and friends have been coming to court for years now, making sure the accused know she is loved and remembered. 9 people were ultimately charged in connection with her death, 4 of them charged with first-degree murder. On Monday, one of the 4 pleaded guilty to second-degree murder at Court of King's Bench. Robert Thomas is the first to admit his role in her death.
It's always tragic when people have lost loved ones. My heart goes out to the Gallaghers. The unspeakable happened, and they've been living with it for years. And it's time that they get closure so that they can continue on their journey and deal with their grief in the best way that they can hope to.
Thomas returns to court next month for sentencing. The Crown and defense expect to make a joint submission on how long he should stay in prison before he can apply for parole. Well, starting today, you can officially book in for your flu shot and COVID-19 booster shots. Head to forflu.ca to book in with public health for appointments starting 1 week from today. The website also has walk-in clinic listings and how you can book by phone if that's your preference. Everyone 6 months and older is eligible. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break. Organizers and supporters gathered at Saskatoon City Hall today, calling for urgent action around homelessness. More than 24 people gathered in the downtown plaza outside City Hall. Prairie Community Coalition says there are not enough shelter spaces or affordable housing. Saskatoon City Council recently voted in favor of a downtown emergency shelter with up to 40 beds. It will be run by the Mustard Seed, a faith-based organization with similar facilities in other cities. But organizers say church and charity should not be in control of shelters in the city.
This is not charity again. We want social services that are for everybody and not just private faith-based organizations running our shelters. We want community, Indigenous-run shelters, and we know that this is our right. So we won't settle for less.
The new shelter will exist at 210 Pacific Avenue. The city says after renovations of the property and staff is hired, they hope to be open by January 1st. Learning about government jurisdictions in Canada doesn't sound that exciting, but with provincial and municipal election campaigns underway, it is important. A game developer in Regina is trying to make it more fun for students in the classroom to learn about governments and their powers. It's a free educational online video game called Jurisdictions.
When you play the game, you'll be in one of 4 different scenes, either in a home, in a neighborhood, in the downtown, or sort of just flying over the country. And you can interact with objects that you see in the scene and learn what they are and represent and what government is responsible for them.
And that's where it got tricky for me. There are things you could click on, such as a hospital or a bank, but a number of things don't just have one level of government responsible for it. And that can be, for some of them, maybe a little trickier than others.
Yes, and that's certainly something that we see in politics, is that it is very difficult to figure out who's responsible and who should be accountable for certain things. So, constitutionally, we don't design a particular body to be responsible for homelessness. So it is a responsibility that's shared between municipalities, the province, and federal government, and that's possibly one of the reasons why we have such trouble in doing anything about it. So that was definitely a design challenge with the game, is some things are a very easy answer and some things aren't.
I think that even people who have grown up here often don't know. If you go out and just talk to people, as journalists sometimes do, you'll find that people don't know which level of government is even having an election, or if in their area they're talking about a city councillor or a trustee or an MLA or an MP. So it's certainly not just students or newcomers who might benefit from this. Where do you hope this game goes?
Well, definitely my focus is on education. That's certainly, because it's mandated, the easiest way to reach everybody. But certainly I would love to see more adults more familiar with government processes. One of the big reasons I did create the game is that we are facing a lot of disinformation and misinformation that is fundamentally undermining our democracy. And a big part of that is people not understanding how our democracy is supposed to work and who is responsible for what. And so even among politicians, you'll see things get wrongly assigned or blamed to the wrong office. And if we can't even trust our own politicians to get our jurisdictional issues right, well, one, we get a whole bunch of wrongful lawsuits about constitutionality, and we get campaigns aimed at the wrong people, and we see, crowds angry about the issue with very little understanding of how it could actually be meaningfully addressed. So really, the more people that see this and play it and engage with the ideas and concepts, the better.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. Our greatest auto sale is on now.
Our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now, and while we're talking about blame and credit for things, you get all the credit for the nice weather when it's like this, don't you?
Oh, I wish it could last like that forever. If only I could take the credit all the time for the weather. But yeah, today I'll take it. Gorgeous conditions across the province. We've had, kind of all three things line up. Nice temperatures. The winds have behaved themselves. We got some nice clear skies as well through much of the province. Let's start with temperatures because once again, look at that. We've hit 28 degrees in Estevan. That is last time we probably saw that was, I think we hit it last month over that for sure. But, those are usually temperatures that we see in the month of July through many parts of the province. A little bit cooler as you head northward, but still, well into the 20s, even a little bit further north. And if you're wondering if this warm weather is going to continue, well, there's no guarantee, but there is a better chance that it will. This is the Environment Canada temperature prediction map for the next 3 months, October, November, December. And areas of eastern Saskatchewan are looking at a 70 to 80% chance of above normal conditions. For Regina, Saskatoon, and many western sections, it's about a 60 to 70% chance. This doesn't tell us how much warmer it's going to be. It just tells us that it will likely be a warmer than normal. Precipitation also expected to be below normal, so it'll be likely a bit drier than normal over these next few months, and we're of course seeing that today with the sunshine in place. Not a whole lot of active weather to speak of, and that'll be likely the pattern that continues at least through tomorrow because the skies will still be clear overnight tonight. A little bit of some cloud cover up in the far north as a system skirts by. Things change a little bit getting into later tomorrow and into Thursday. We have this low pressure system that's going to move on by. That'll be bringing some showers to much of central Saskatchewan. The south should remain dry, but there is a chance we could catch a couple of sprinkles here and there. And then high pressure moves back in as we head into Friday, which is going to clear the skies. And even with a little bit of cloud cover moving in Friday afternoon, I think we'll escape any rain showers after that. The rain that does come over these next couple of days here is not going to be very much. I think maybe at most 5 millimeters, and that'll be falling in parts of east central Saskatchewan. But other than that, kind of catching a millimeter or two here and there. Wind's going to remain light tomorrow, maybe picking up a bit in the far north of the province as that system skirts by. They will start to pick up a bit as we head into Thursday. This model may be a little bit of an undershot of just how breezy it is going to get because Thursday I think we could be back in the range of nearly 60 kilometer an hour gusts in Regina and the south. Temperatures dropping after that, but still nice for the rider game, albeit maybe a little bit unsettled toward the end of the game, and then things clearing out for the rest of the weekend. For Saskatoon, again, looking for another pleasant day tomorrow. I think you have the better chance of catching some showers on Thursday, and then again, Saturday, the possibility remains, but still staying above seasonal as we head into next week, Sam.
Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
A special night last night for some of our colleagues. CBC Saskatchewan picked up 5 Prairie Regional Awards from Radio Television Digital News Association. Winning stories include a profile of the owners of Laranges Robertson Trading Limited as they close the iconic store, and a story about a woman's right to die through MAID. Congrats to our colleagues who now move on to national judging. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break. After 7 winless games in a row, Saskatchewan Rough Rider fans would not be blamed for wondering if their team would make the playoffs. But with a win at Edmonton, the Green and White have done it. The team has rebounded from that winless streak by winning 3 in a row. The latest, a 28-24 victory over the Elks on Saturday. It helped that both Hamilton and Calgary lost Friday night, setting up the Riders to clinch. The head coach says locking up a playoff spot does tick a box, but it is not enough.
You know, I think every coach has, and their staff and the teams that they work for has, you know, ultimate goals, and we're no different. So, you know, this is a part of, you know, where we intended to be. And now there's still lots of stuff to play for here these last few weeks. So
this group is not just satisfied with just making the playoffs. It's not something that we've, you know, taken some large exhale and be like, whoo, okay. We won 3 in a row. We haven't done anything. We haven't accomplished anything yet in terms of what our bigger goals were.
A big day at practice for a lot of once injured riders. Running back AJ Ouellette took the first team reps. Jacob Bramer and Zach Fry were also full participants. Raquel Armstead and Peter Godber were back but limited. A victory over the Lions on Saturday would clinch a home playoff game for the Riders. Kickoff at Mosaic Stadium is at 5 o'clock. And Ethan is back with one last look at your weather.
Big surprise. We got sunshine tomorrow for Regina, starting at 8 degrees. Nice light winds. And again, we're not going to see those pick up all that much into the afternoon. Maybe a little bit of cloud cover here and there, but another excellent day ahead of us. Saskatoon, why don't we have the same forecast for you too? Sure. Starting at 7 tomorrow morning, nice and warm for this time of year as we jump up to 16 by the afternoon. We've had some gorgeous conditions, not only during the daytime, but at night as well. I want to thank Kathleen for sending us these photos of the aurora, and you could actually see it in the city of Regina last night, and you might be able to see it even in the city again tonight as that geomagnetic storm continues. That KP index setting us up for what could be another beautiful night in the skies once again, Sam.
I will attempt to stay up that long.
Same here, yeah. Why not?
Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
That is it for us tonight. For more on the provincial election campaign coverage, you can head to cbc.ca/Sask or subscribe to CBC Saskatchewan's YouTube channel. And don't forget to catch the leaders' debate here on CBC on October 16th. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.